Hi guys, Karen Galway here. I wanted to hop on and talk to you a little bit about the power of your thoughts. My office is messy, my little working station down here in my basement, but I felt the call to hop on and tell you about this, so I really don't care how this looks like behind me. I'm sure you guys can relate. So your thoughts are so incredibly powerful. Like I didn't realize the power of your thoughts until probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I remember growing up, my mom would often say, if you think negative things are going to happen. If you think positive things are going to happen. And I never really quite understood the meaning of that until a few years ago that of a situation that happened and that I want to tell you about. And then I'm going to follow up with two things that you need to know about the power of your thoughts. Okay. So a few years ago, I can't remember how long now, like probably 5 years ago now or 4 years ago. My husband had his own company. Things were working really well, and we had a good couple friends of ours who were struggling. And my friend's husband had been out of work for a while. And every now and then, depending on how often my friend needed to talk, I would talk to her sometimes. Like it could be every day, it could be every other day, but she would call and give me an update of what's going on, or like how he wasn't able to find work, or he wasn't finding motivation to find work, or something that would just was just sharing like how challenging their situation had gotten. And when I would get off the phone, I would share that with my husband, and he would often say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, because when I hear what's happening, I feel and that it's happening to me. I think that it's happening to me. So I don't want to hear it. And then it'll linger. And sometimes like it'll be like a conversation 3-4 hours later, or 3-4 hours after the conversation, he would come back and say, like, I can't shake that feeling. Like, I just don't want that to happen. And so shortly afterwards, like, I don't know how long, maybe 6 months afterwards, the timeline I can't quite recall, but this very thing did happen to us. So my husband had a company that he was running, and he had a business partner who he brought on, who he didn't fully vet because he was a rookie at the business. And this business partner did a lot of legal activity, and I feel like had taken on this partnership role and premeditated what he was going to do. And so he ended up stealing clients and ended up funneling business into his own business that he had, without these clients realizing what was going on. And the only reason why we found out was because an email accidentally bounced back to my husband. And that's how we discovered that he was doing this. And so we had to hire a lawyer and a cease and desist letter, and the guy, he didn't stop. The saving grace was the paperwork that he was having his clients fill out was actually paperwork for my husband's actual company that the money was going to. And so he had to kind of turn around and it ended up being settled anyways. It was a really stressful time where we had no idea when like our next paycheck was going to be coming in. We had no idea where when his next job was going to be. And it was a situation that seemed very similar and very familiar to what my friends were going through. And what I realized during that time, or more so retrospectively, maybe not during that time, but retrospectively, I believe that the power of his thoughts and our thoughts during that time kind of helped manifest the situation. And so I'm very mindful of what we fill our heads with and what we tell ourselves, because you can literally, your thoughts can truly kind of reflect what's happening. And so we've since then we've come a long way. We've learned our lessons, because life happens for you and not to you. And so we've learned our lessons, and we're in a better situation. And that was a dark time that served its purpose, and we've learned from it. And it was part of my healing journey during that time. That was the kind of the spark of things when things started to shift for me as well. So two things I wanted to share with you about the power of your thoughts. Okay. The first one, your inner world reflects your outer world. There's a quote by James Allen that says, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to reflect their inner beliefs. So basically, your thoughts are so powerful that you can think of something and then that you will see it show up in your life. And a perfect example of that is you hear a new word for the first time, and all of a sudden you're thinking of this word, and then you hear it. Like you read it in stories and you hear other people use it. It wasn't a word that was just created. It was just all of a sudden you are paying closer attention to it. Or a car that you want to get, and all of a sudden that car is showing up like everywhere on the street. It's the same thing. Your inner world, your outer world's reflected what's going on in your inner world. And so if you're not happy with how things are happening in your outer world, you need to kind of reel it in and go inward a little bit and think about what is happening in your inner world, in your mindset. What are the thoughts that you're telling yourself? Are you saying things are really bad right now, or bad things always happen to me? So you need to kind of reel it in and reshape that, and kind of make sure you're choosing words that have a higher abundance and a higher frequency than a lower frequency. So the second thing I wanted to share with you is that feelings amplify thoughts. So you have a thought, right? And then it's the feeling that is charged with that thought that really amplifies it, that really kind of then starts showing out in your outer world. So it's not just that the thoughts that have the power, but it's the feelings that come with those thoughts. And so I truly feel like the feeling of fear and the feeling of scarcity that my husband would always have when I would tell him what's happening to my friends or our friends is what kind of amplified that, and it showed up. So again, what thoughts are you telling yourself? Are you living in fear? Are you living in scarcity, that things are just going to get pulled under you before you know it? Are you someone who feels like, good things are happening to you and your thoughts are, everything's going right, something's bound to happen that's bad? And then you feel that. So I would suggest doing things to raise your frequency, choosing words, like I said earlier, that have a different vibration to help shift with those feelings. And then also be careful what you're watching and what you're reading. And you want to fill your mind with things that are higher vibe and not so negative and scarce. So that's it. That was my story, and I want to share with you. I hope this is helpful. If you want to hear more, I wrote a blog on it, and I go into two other things you need to know about the power of your thoughts as well. And then I also have a Facebook group where we talk about this stuff too. And all right, chat soon.